The Chicago metropolitan area is filled with family entertainment centers and amusement parks, but I think the best park for kids is none other than Santa's Village Azoosment Park in East Dundee, Illinois. This Christmas-themed amusement park closed after the 2006 season, but it has been reborn over the past decade with new rides, a new water park, and a small zoo. So in this video, I will be reviewing Santa's Village. There are several Christmas-themed parks out there, including a few with the same Santa's Village name, although they're all separate entities from each other. Being from New England, I grew up visiting Jefferson, New Hampshire's Santa's Village. I loved the charm of that park, so it was natural for me to compare the two. And in many ways, the Illinois location has a similar charm to it. You have snow-capped buildings, a few lightly themed rides, and a cheery atmosphere propagated by the employees. I especially love the grand reveal of the park. After passing through a charming ticket booth area with a giant candy cane, you pass through a tunnel with the man himself, Santa Claus. And then you emerge into the amusement park, and it's impossible to miss the smiles and laughter of riders on the classic snowball ride nearby. And that snowball ride is one of the few remaining attractions from the old Santa's Village. This park originally opened in 1959. For most of its history, the park has been known as Santa's Village. But for a short time in the 1970s, it was actually known as Worlds of Fun. However, the owners scrapped that name because they wanted to avoid confusion with the other amusement parks named Worlds of Fun, which I found funny because so many parks share the Santa's Village name, but I digress. In the early 2000s, Santa's Village's attendance started to drop. The recently added Typhoon roller coaster was really poorly received. I rode this attraction when it operated at the Washington State Fair as Rainier Rush, and I can confirm it was one of the roughest and most uncomfortable roller coasters in the world. Beyond this abysmal coaster, the park's customer service and overall aesthetics eroded. These factors caused a drop in attendance that forced the park to close its gates after the 2006 season. Many rides were auctioned off, but Santa's Village reopened in 2011 with a whole new fleet of attractions and a renewed focus on aesthetics and customer service. And the park has continued to expand over the past decade, adding 2 new roller coasters, several relocated flat rides, some thrill rides, a zoo, and a brand new Santa Springs water park on the site of the former Racing Rapids water park. I never visited the old park, but it's hard for me to believe that the old park could beat what you can experience today. It has a really diverse attraction offering for kids and families. In general, this is a nice looking park. I really love the front half of the park, as it's more charming with the abundance of trees and themed buildings. As you make your way down the hill towards the back half of the park, the rides do feel a bit more like carnival rides, as many are portable models, but the rides all sport fresh coats of paint, and the 2 coasters border a small scenic pond. One buzzkill I immediately noticed with the park was the music selection. Unlike the Santa's Village I grew up with that plays Christmas and holiday music year-round, this Santa's Village played pop music throughout the park. It was disappointing they didn't capitalize on the Christmas theme more, but the visuals in the front half of the park still gave that holiday atmosphere. The only odd thing is what this park borders though. As you make your way towards the beautiful entrance plaza, it is impossible to miss the gritty paintball complex immediately to your left. This arena sits on the site of the park's former Polar Dome ice skating rink. The paintball facility is quite the contrast from the colorful theme park. Touching on the entry experience, Santa's Village is free to park, and it's fairly priced given its attraction offerings. As of my visit in 2021, it cost $28 to enter the park, and that included the amusement park, water park, and zoo. Unlike most parks where you can proceed directly to the gate if you buy your tickets in advance, you still have to wait in a line at a will call booth when you arrive so you can pick up your wristband. Even season pass holders have to wait in this line each visit. I could see this being an annoyance if this ever backed up, but thankfully it was no more than a 5-minute wait the day I visited. I was a bit surprised a park with no pay-per-ride structure would force everyone to wear a wristband, but these wristbands did have a really neat feature I wish more parks had. Each wristband has a spot to write in your contact number if a child gets lost. I thought that was a brilliant idea to help prevent a parent's worst nightmare, losing their kid. Crowds do not seem to be an issue at this park. I visited on what should have been one of the busiest days of the year. It was a perfectly sunny Friday before a holiday weekend. Despite the parking lot being fairly full, the longest line I saw was about 10 minutes for the Super Cyclone roller coaster. Most rides were either walk-ons or one-cycle waits. Low waits are one of the most important things for a children's park in my opinion, because kids hate waiting in line even more than adults. And the midways didn't feel congested either. The staff working the rides were pretty friendly and quite efficient. They would waste no time loading the ride once guests entered their queue line. Moving on to the rides, the park currently features 2 roller coasters. The park has cycled through a few different roller coasters since they reopened, including a Schwarzkopf Wildcat and a Wisdom Rides Dragon Coaster. But now they sport 2 coasters side by side. You have a standard Wacky Worm, and then you have Super Cyclone, which is Interpark's take on the classic Galaxy or Zyklone layout. Super Cyclone is not particularly wild. Outside of the first drop in the back car, which does give a small pop of airtime, the coaster is devoid of any airtime or forces. And that fact makes it even funnier that this ride features both your standard lap bar and comfort collars. However, it is a reasonably smooth ride, and it was the park's most popular attraction the day I visited. I do wish the height requirement was lower than 48 inches for young kids, but it is a decent big coaster for this family park, and it clearly is popular even if it's not the biggest thrill machine. Most of the flat rides are suitable for kids of all ages. You have a cluster of kiddie rides in the middle of the park, plus a few spinning rides. You have a relatively rare Hoos Troika in the Trinado, and a classic Tilt-A-Whirl that both came from the old fun spot in Indiana. But the most notable spinning ride is easily that aforementioned Snowball ride. This is a classic teacup ride with a wintry flair. These cups were ridiculously easy to spin, so I got an extremely dizzying ride. That was especially true because the cup would abruptly stop at the end, whereas most others come to a gradual stop, so my equilibrium really got thrown off. The one downside with these flat rides is that they all run really short cycles, but with the low crowds it was possible just to get back in line, usually in the very next cycle. Now there are 2 rides that I do feel are a bit out of place. Contrasting with the family-friendly offering are 2 bona fide thrill rides in Blizzard and Extreme Elevation. Blizzard is the park's new for 2021 inverting frisbee from SBF Visa. It is currently the park's only inverting ride, and it's a really disorienting experience, chock full of hang time. Immediately next door is Extreme Elevation, one of those arm Larson drop towers that really pack a wallop. This ride stands 15 stories tall, and it is downright terrifying. You slowly ascend to the top, getting a great view of the park, before dropping back down to the ground with 0 warning. The drop is absolutely gut-wrenching. It left my stomach atop the tower, and I floated the whole way down. This was not only my favorite ride in the park, but it's one of my favorite drop towers anywhere. For what is primarily a children's park, I find Blizzard and Extreme Elevation shockingly intense. I think it's great if you're a thrill seeker, but these were probably the 2 least popular rides in the park because of their higher height limits and intensity. These are also 2 of the park's newest attractions, so I think it'll be interesting if the park continues down the thrill ride trajectory, or if they shift their focus back on kiddie and family rides. But if they do keep adding thrill rides, it will allow them to tap into an all-new demographic. Beyond the flat rides, you also have a few car rides and train rides. You have a well-landscaped set of antique cars and the Route 66 cruisers, but there are 2 more notable attractions I want to touch on. SVFD Engine Number 2 is a really unique firefighting ride. Guests board a small fire truck and are rushed over to a burning building. Those in the front row are given a hose and instructed to extinguish the fire. I was surprised this ride had an actual fire, and it actually equipped guests with a working fire hose. This ride was a major hit amongst kids, and something you don't find elsewhere. If you have young kids, make sure they ride up front because the back row does not get a hose. Also, make sure you're willing to get wet if you ride this attraction. 9 times out of 10, you'll come off bone dry. This ride is not designed to get you wet. But the hoses are flexible, so if you have a mischievous kid in front of you, they could turn the hose 180 degrees and spray everyone on board, which happened on one of my 2 rides. Jolly Trolley was a really surprising dark ride. This was yet another new for 2021 attraction, and is easily the most Christmassy attraction in the park. The queue line ran alongside a trio of singing reindeer, and the ride itself was a short journey past a few iconic scenes from Christmas movies. You passed the famous leg lamp in A Christmas Story, Cousin Eddie unloading his septic tank from Christmas Vacation, and the Rube Goldberg traps in Home Alone. Plus, you also have energetic Christmas music and some lights. The ride is short, it's just a smidge over a minute in length, and it is rather cheap, but it is a quirky ride with a lot of character. I also found the ride system quite unique. Instead of having an automatic track-driven dark ride like most parks, Jolly Trolley was a small train manually driven by an employee. The Santa Springs Water Park is in the very back of the park, and while it is a small water park, it's just what the doctor ordered on a hot day. It has a small pool, a small water play structure, and 2 larger water slides on a separate tower. Last but not least, you also have the zoo. While this isn't a very large zoo, it does contain a diverse mix of animals. You have a lot of barnyard animals you find at most petting zoos, but you also have some more exotic animals like wallabies and tortoises. I especially love the large tortoise exhibit and the adorable baby tortoise it contained. And you're able to purchase food to feed a large chunk of these animals as well, which kids absolutely love. Last but not least, I want to touch on the food. Since I craved authentic Chicago deep dish when I was in town, I did skip eating while I was at Santa's Village. From what I could tell, the food was average for most parks. It was a lot of your usual junk food and priced like most parks. So do I recommend visiting Santa's Village? If you have young kids in the Chicago area, absolutely. This is a very charming park with more than enough to keep kids busy for the day. Most rides can comfortably accommodate both kids and adults, and you also have a few rides on the more extreme end of the spectrum to warm kids up for the nearby Six Flags Great America. If you're a coaster enthusiast, Santa's Village is not a must-stop, but it does have 2 credits, and I found it to be a very pleasant park just to walk around. I expected to be in and out of this park in just over an hour, and if you only want the 2 credits, you could be easily out of this park in 30 minutes. But I spent roughly 3 hours in this park, enjoying the park's atmosphere and non-coaster lineup. If you have yet to experience one of those arm Larson drop towers, I'd argue that extreme elevation alone is worth a visit to this park. So those are my thoughts on Santa's Village Azoosment Park, the nice children's park on the outskirts of Chicago. Have you been to this park? What do you think of the place? Definitely let me know if you visited the old Santa's Village, and let me know how the version today compares. If you enjoyed this review, I'd appreciate it if you gave this video a like, and you considered subscribing, because there'll be a lot more roller coaster and amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.